Hey, I'm Cole Kirkpatrick, and this is my 2023 KTM 350 XCF. I've been a two-stroke guy for a really long time. I've been riding full-size KTM since 2000, and I've only had 3 or 4 four-strokes. This year, for 23, I wanted to change it up a little bit, ride something different, and so I got a 350 XCF in August of 2022, and I've been riding it. I've put 30 hours on it and kind of just wanted to go over the things that I've done to my bike, where I am now at the 30-hour mark as far as setup goes. This is not going to be a stock bike overview because, as you can see, this bike is not stock. I did ride the bike in stock form, put quite a bit of time on it to get a feel for it before I started making modifications. So I'll go into that a little bit. I am going to break the video down by different segments. So I'm going to start with the controls, then I'll go over the suspension, then I'll go over wheels and tires, and then some other setup things that I have done over the last few months of having the bike and riding it here in Texas. The first thing I noticed when riding this 350 was that it was a very smooth power compared to the new generation two-strokes that I've ridden. The 23 300XC is a blast to ride. It's a rocket, and this bike does not have that same exciting power delivery. It's very smooth, very predictable, and it's very fast at the same time. What I like about the four-stroke so far is how planted it feels on the trail. The front end is very connected to the ground through chop, through roots. In different conditions, the front end of the bike works extremely well, and I feel like in West Texas and the higher speed stuff, when I ride it, it increases my confidence in going faster. I find that when I get off the trail a little bit or get deflected off by hitting something, that the bike doesn't move around quite as much when it's off the trail. It'll just hit bumps and I feel like it's glued to the ground. So I've been really excited about how that feels. For controls, I have a 999 bend twin wall handlebar. It's low and straight, very similar to stock, but it's the go-to setup that I've used for racing. It is low, and if you're somebody that just likes to trail ride and stand up all the time, that may not be for you, but I find that I can corner really well with this lower bar that's a little bit straighter. So I've got the 999 up front with the XC Gear Mako 360 SX. I use the green bar polymers and the blue shark bite. It's the firmest setting that they offer, but it still offers enough comfort that if I hit something I'm not expecting, I don't take the blow in my wrist. I am running a KTM SXS triple clamp. This is from my previous bike, my 22, and it bolted right up. Still running it in the standard offset. I just like where I can mount my XC Gear clamp, and it removes the rubber mounted part. It's a rigid mount on top, and it looks trick because it's orange. I use the Enduro Engineering full wrap handguards. I've tried for the last few months to do the motocross style version that they offer, and while it does feel comfortable, I found myself hitting the edges of my hands on some stuff that I've never hit before. And so I'm racing this weekend for the first time since April of last year. And so I went back with what I'm comfortable with, the full wrap handguard, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. It's just what I prefer. As far as other control items go, I have IMS Core Enduro Footpegs. This is the standard version that's on the bike currently. They did not have the Sharp version available when I built this bike out, and that is my preference. If you're a racer, I highly recommend the Sharp foot pegs from IMS. They offer a great contact point and connection with the bike. And another contact point is the seat. This is a Seat Concepts complete seat. I just put it on yesterday. I had a lot of the video you'll see in this is with a black seat that I had. It was just a cover on the stock seat, but this is a complete seat from Seat Concepts. It's a little bit firmer than the stock one. It was kind of breaking down a little bit, so I'm really happy to have this thing mounted on. And then nothing crazy with my levers. I run them in a pretty neutral position, in on the handlebar, so I get good leverage at my fingers for using the controls. Next part I will talk about is the chassis on the bike. I've got the WP Pro Component fork and shock on this bike. Totally different units than what comes stock. I rode a little bit with the stock air fork. It felt good, but I've been running the cone valve spring fork for years, and the guys at Solid Performance have the settings dialed, and I'm really happy to be running that stuff. This is, to me, the best handling KTM I've had in a few years. I struggled with the previous generation a little bit of the front end feel, and this new bike, I really like the way that the front end of the bike feels. I don't know if that's the four-stroke part of it. I don't know if it's the chassis. I haven't had a chance to really back-to-back compare with the new gen 2-stroke, but so far I've been really happy. Haven't had to mess with my clickers too much to find a good setting that I'm happy with. I'm running 4.6 springs in the front, a 4.5 in the rear. Sag, I'm running between 105 and 107 depending on the terrain. And fork at line 2. I feel like that's a good balance of it being precise in the corners, but also giving me some stability when the trail starts getting faster. Next, I'm going to talk about tires and wheels. I'm running Michelin StarCross 6 medium soft terrain tires, front and rear, paired with the Michelin bib Mousse so that I don't have to worry about a tire failure or a flat. I'm driving today to go race, and it's so nice having peace of mind and being able to just run over whatever I want to, whether it's mesquite trees. I don't have to worry about pinch flats or anything. These tires have been awesome. They're a little bit firmer sidewall than the StarCross 5 from Michelin, and the durability has been improved over the previous generation, which is impressive because I already thought that the StarCross 5 range, it wore really well. So really happy with the tire setup. I'm running the OEM wheels that come on the bike. I do safety wire the rear wheel just on the spokes so that if something breaks, it doesn't ruin a brake caliper. The spoke will still break and that's fine, but it won't just slap around and damage the swing arm or other parts if it were to break. So that's just preventative. On the rear, I do use a DP braking solid rotor. I'm really hard on brakes. I drag them quite a bit, so the solid rotor increases pad life. It helps get the heat from the caliper. The rotor does run hotter, but the caliper doesn't seem to run as hot. Moving to the engine and performance of the bike, pretty much totally stock. I've got a full system from Akrapovic. It's the Evolution line that they offer. It's a different header and silencer. One of the things that I really like about it is it's quieter than the stock unit that comes on the bike. Coming from a 2-stroke, it was a little bit different getting used to how much noise this bike makes. And I was happy that the Akrapovic silencer quieted things down a little bit while still offering really strong power. I felt like it gave it an increase in the bottom end of the power. I've been really happy with that. I haven't done anything else to the motor. I tend to run the bike in the stock map, which is just the regular one. I found that when I put it in the faster map, it does increase bottom, but I don't feel like the bike is as, for me where I am in the gears, it doesn't seem to work as well as the just standard map. I run traction control on when it's dry slick or if it's muddy, but tend to run it in the off position whenever the ground's really good. And I do have the quick shift setting enabled on the ignition, and that's something I believe that you can do through an update at your local dealer if you do have the XCF version. The SXFs already come with it stock. As far as gearing goes on this bike, I'm still running stock, which is a 1447. I've played with a 1448 to shorten up the gears a little bit, but I felt like it was too short for where I ride. But I'm gonna get a nice race setting in this weekend, and I'll be able to see on trail that I don't know if maybe the 48 is nice in that enduro situation where I want the gears a little bit closer together. So right now I've been really happy with the 1447. I tend to use third and fourth at the training track that I ride, where I used to be in third and fourth on previous bikes. So they must have just changed up some stuff inside the gearbox that results in that final drive ratio. One other thing for the motor, I use a TrailTech fan to help keep the temperatures down. These 4-strokes run hot as it is, and so the TrailTech fan just helps circulate more air when the trail gets tight, or if I'm in some technical terrain, it decreases the chance of the bike overheating. I've got Enduro Engineering protection parts, a rear rotor guard, skid plate. It's the rubber mounted one, and it's been pretty good in the 30 hours that I've had on it. Offers great protection, easy to take on and off for oil changes. For oil, I'm running Motorex 10W50. Have been pretty frequent on the oil changes and the oil filters just to keep things fresh. These bikes will run for forever, it seems, if you stay up on your maintenance. Instead of the OEM air filter, I've gone with the Twin Air Power Flow kit. It is a anodized orange cage that's different. It doesn't have any of the mesh screen on it, so you get increased airflow, and the foam is a little bit different. I've gone from the stock start-stop button that's all on one panel to just like what the bikes previously came with. I've got a separate start and stop switch. I just like the way that those those feel on my thumb for dead engine starts. Right now I've got the stock tank mounted up, but I did have an IMS dry brake tank on for some cross-country races. But since I'm doing an enduro this weekend, I wanted something that's a little bit slimmer. The IMS tank is not big by any means, but I end up overfilling it. So just to prevent that and carry an extra weight, I went back with the stock tank for this weekend. The IMS unit will go back on it when I get ready to do some cross-country races. It was a really easy install. The fuel pump this year is a lot different than what it's been in the past, so you don't have to fish something down into the tank. It's just 4 bolts, it swaps out really quick. A few other things that I've done, I've gotten a Dremel tool and taken some of the plastic off around the rear brake reservoir so that I can do so I can bleed my rear brakes at enduros quicker and easier. It comes with a lot of plastic stock and it's hard to get a tool in there, so I just shaved that off. And then I also shave off some of the guard on the countershaft sprocket to allow mud to clear out of that area in the event of a muddy area, or if you get a bunch of dirt packed into your chain, you can derail a chain if it can't clear out of there, so I cut that out. And I do run the idle really high on this bike just for an enduro situations. I've found that it decreases the chance of me stalling the motorcycle, so I've done that. I'm running the Rekluse TorqDrive clutch setup. One thing I like about the Rekluse setup is the outer cover allows the use of a different spring. So I'm really hard on rear brakes. I drag them a lot. So I use a Honda rear brake pedal spring that's a lot firmer than the stock unit that comes on this bike. And I've found that it gives me a lot more positive lever feel. So if I'm on the pedal, I can actually feel that I'm on it. And so that's something I really like about the Rekluse clutch. It's also a lot more, or the Rekluse clutch cover, it's also a lot more durable. The graphics on this bike are from Graphix. I've been using them for years. They're very durable. I got 30 hours out of my last set and the shrouds were still in good shape. Just wanted to freshen everything up for the race this weekend. They offer options for customizing kits. You can get this exact kit if you wanted it for your bike. So hit up those guys if you want some more info. But I've been really, really happy with this bike. It's not as exciting or as fun to ride as the 2-stroke. But it is, what's fun about it is the speed I feel like I can carry on it, especially in West Texas where it's a little bit more high speed. The bike just feels so planted that it's really confidence inspiring. I've had a blast riding it. I got to ride it in East Texas a couple weeks ago with some friends in the woods, and it was noticeable the weight of the bike side to side through tight trees. But I've found that even though it kind of feels like I'm going slow, I just get patient and trust that I'm still riding fast and just focus on hitting my lines and that sort of deal. So this weekend will be a really good test for this bike. I haven't raced since April of 2022. I've been sick all week. I think I've got a sinus infection or something, so kind of struggling as far as that goes, but still looking forward to going and racing this bike and getting some more time and info out of it, because a race scenario is always good for learning what the bike likes to do and if any settings need to be changed. And that wraps up the video on my 2023 KTM 350 XCF build. Bike's got 30 hours. I've been really happy with it and look forward to riding it for the months to come. Thanks for watching. I hope that all of you get to experience a day like this.